Good morning, everybody. First of all, a special thing for the YouTubers, but first of all, just a little apology for not being out there for sunrise. Thanks be to God, I slept until about 10 past 6. Right now it's about 6:27, and I am very grateful that I could sleep, but I was awake for a chunk in the middle of the night, maybe because of the heat or whatever. Who knows what are the reasons for the mystery of sleep or lack of sleep. So here we are. I just want to say a huge thank you to all of the people who also participate in this particular Sunrise Stroll and Chat live streamed on Facebook. All the YouTubers who have subscribed. And yesterday, I'm very thankful, or maybe it was the day before, to see that the YouTube had reached 4,000 subscribers. And this just a confirmation or an encouragement to see people seeing the opportunity of listening or seeing these videos. There's some others I do, like the German one on Friday evening, and there were some other odds and ends besides this, but obviously the primary one is the Sunrise Stroll and Chat every morning. When I finished doing the live stream here on Facebook, I downloaded and then uploaded to YouTube. Originally, when I started doing this 4 years ago, it was possible to save the video directly from Facebook. They allowed one to save that video, but that was taken away, that possibility. So now it's necessary to find a way to download it for a few years, actually. And then I upload it to YouTube. I just want to greet all the YouTube people, because you're not the first ones to see it in the morning, the Facebookers are. And I am very happy that you do. To everybody, I have to also say that I'm sorry that it's very difficult for me to get around to see comments and to follow up. I usually put about an hour and a quarter, sometimes every morning, into this exercise. You guys get me out into the open air in winter and snow, and with very little snow here, hardly ever, maybe in Jerusalem. And then I'm out in nature. I'm getting a bit of a walk, a little stroll, sunrise stroll and chat. To see the sunrise is a great, wonderful fact every day. It's a beautiful experience, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year now. And that's an enrichment. It's also good for our whole person to be out in nature, like all our ancestors were way back from the beginning, and to see this beautiful gift of nature, and then to have the contact with the scriptures in a systematic way, even though the comments are a little bit random, mostly like spontaneous. It's sunrise stroll and chat. It's not a lecture, it's not a talk, it's not a conference, it's not a homily, it's not preaching. It's just kind of walking along together and commenting on some salient points, or points that strike us. And that's also a blessing for me, enrichment for me. So I just want to say a big thank you also to all the Facebookers. It's very funny that up to about 3 years ago, it was growing every year, and then suddenly, for the last over 2 years, it stayed at around 11,000 subscribers on our followers on Facebook, and it's gone very slow after that, the growth of it. But everyone who subscribes or who subscribes on YouTube or who follows on Facebook is also a direct means of having other people, being brought to other people's attention It's interesting how these social media kind of follow the crowd. So the more people who leave a mark, make a comment, do a like, that impacts the reach of these chats to other people. So it's a small little detail were you to do that, or to share with other people, or to send an occasional one to friends to forward it to them. That's how it grows. So a huge thank you for all of that, and I love you all, and delighted that we have this type of virtual community. Many of you have been here in the Holy Land, and many will not be able to come, but they have this contact with the Holy Land. That's also something to think about for people who will never come, to allow them this chance. Also, many people maybe don't have an easy contact to Scripture emotionally, effectively, or whatever, because of all kinds of different histories in their family, in their country, in their people, in their own personal lives, or some little alienation from things spiritual, from things church, from things Christian, from whatever. And this is a little way for them to have a contact that's different. And maybe you can think of people that would like to take a look at sunrise at the Sea of Galilee. So there we go. I normally don't promote like most YouTubers and people. A lot of them always ask people to subscribe, to sign up and all of that. And every time they have a show or a program, and they ask them be sure to subscribe. And I tend not to do that. I trust the people to do their bit, and I just want to say thank you now for all those who have. Really appreciate that. And our readings today are very, very beautiful, very powerful. Well, beautiful maybe isn't the right word for the first reading, because it's a very tough reading, but I don't know how you see things in history, how you see things in politics today. History obviously covers a lot of politics, political dimensions of things, but there's an extraordinary principle today in that God's people become aware of this fact, that all the things that happen to them are not by chance, and they're not just by the will of the other people, and their purpose is not exhausted by what the other people do to them. And that applies not just to international politics, but it also applies in family relationships, in the kitchen, in the playground, in business. The things that happened, all the things that happen to us, all the developments in politics and everywhere, these are really just a stage set where our relationship to God can be forged, further developed. You know, I don't know if you were ever at a forge. When I was a child, forges were common workplaces, fixing plows and tools, and making gates with metal welding, all of those things. And every little town had a forge or two, and then they became known as garages in some places, and the smith shop or whatever. And you saw sometimes the iron had to be put into the fire, and then it was hammered, and then it was twisted, and then it was a beautiful wrought iron gate. And what the people are learning in today's first reading is that God is God of the whole world, not just of their people, which is probably not the most common idea. And now they're realizing that God is also availing of all of these human arrogance and egotism and interests to be present to his people, to teach his people, and also so his people can bring him to the world. So let's say somebody is kidnapped, and that's a very horrible thing. And I just occurred to my mind now, a crazy thought. Imagine one day if I was kidnapped. I need to have a mindset, I'd need to develop a mindset that actually the people who kidnapped me are probably not very Christian, And even if there were Christians who did it, even if they were baptized, because some Christians have done horrible things. But whoever were to kidnap me needs to know God's love and God's fidelity. And so just through my behavior, my reactions, my demeanor, even without words, before words, prior to words, and then also my words, that they would learn that there's somebody who believes in God, who loves, who believes in God, who is provident. So even if somebody cheats you at the counter, the way you address them could be very hostile, or it could be serene. It could be with a lot of interior self-control. And the reason I can have self-control in my life, even though many people did injustice to me if they did, is because I know God's in charge. And God has the accounts book. And every act of patience and humility and kindness and proper resistance, reasonable, noble, elegant, high ground level, not throwing mud, then every one of those is the growth of my person, and it's also a message of great human dignity to the other. And the person who tortures is obviously an incredible level of heroic. That's true martyrdom. This is really true martyrdom. When the person who is being martyred, who's being tortured, who's being lied to, who's being cheated, when that person has a great self, reveals human dignity, the truth of human, can also protest, but protest in a noble way. Protest, not a revenge action, maybe not even a punishing action, but a revealing action that this isn't the way to live as human beings with each other. And so the most horrible things that happen in life actually become platforms. Like the people needed to be light to the nations. And this is how Isaiah sees God's people in their trials, in their exile in Babylon. And maybe somebody who's in jail today for crimes or unjustly, and maybe somebody who's in rehabilitation from drugs or different types of dependencies or personal brokenness, can also be a martyr of witness, which is the same word. Martyr and witness are the same words. Can also be a witness to God's goodness. Isn't that a great way to live? This would be the peak of human life. And this would be when the most serious, damaging, worst situations would be transformed into occasions and platforms and sports fields of evidencing God's goodness, God's greatness, and human dignity and the human vocation to glory. And then the prayer of Jesus is so, so beautiful. Father, I thank you, Lord of heaven and earth, for you have revealed these things to the poor, to the simple, to the lowly. Because the arrogant who do all the bad things maybe are an occasion for you to reveal to them through God's grace and for you to grow. But it's the humble heart that is able to process life in this way. It's not just to roll with the blows, it's to actually maybe even relish the occasions. Remember Ignatius of Antioch on his way to Rome for martyrdom? His letters are incredible. You could even Google them and find them. They're amazing because he reads his whole martyrdom, and we're talking about the 2nd century of Christianity. It's an amazing story. So there's lots more we could talk about. I love the psalm line today. In this context, it would be very good for people who are suffering injustice. The Lord will not abandon his people. In Psalm 94, the Lord will not abandon his people. Beautiful. God bless you, people. And now a big shout out and thanks again to all the YouTubers who reached this nice milestone for the sunrise stroll and chat. Gang. God bless you. See you later, alligators.